What did it cost to step into our world? What did it cost him to go through all of this history and to be born just to save us, to rescue us? So, yeah, Christmas is amazing, but this level of love it's at a high price. What Jesus paid was at a very high price. I think about things that are purchased at a high price. We think about when you buy a house. I remember buying our first house, and it was like a big decision because this was a big ticket item, right? It took a little prayer, a little trust that way we can make this mortgage payment. It was a big deal. So it took some planning. And I thought about when I bought the engagement ring, when I offered myself to my wife as being her husband, and begged for her to say yes as she would receive my request. And but it was the most expensive thing I'd ever bought. Her love came at a very high price. My love, and love is risky. It's risky. Not that I didn't know that she would say yes, but a lot of us understand what it means to risk everything for love. A lot of us understand what it means to get your heart broken because of love. It's risky. It's risky to try again. A lot of us have that PTSD going on in the background, like, don't do it, you're going to get hurt. You better protect yourself. It's risky. So we go, wait a second, what did it cost God to risk everything for us? To step into this world just at a chance for us to choose him. Wow. So this week, we're going to talk about what's behind the manger. Okay, so we talked about before the manger, but what's the story behind the manger? What's it all about, right? So when we look into this subject, I think a lot of things will come clear to us on why Christmas is so important. What's going on in the background? What's going on behind the scenes? So we're going to look at Philippians chapter 2. Turn your phones back on. So Philippians 2, and we're going to start reading in verse 5. In your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man. He humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. And Paul makes a point here because he wants us to fully understand the humility of Jesus. Going to the cross was the worst thing that a human could ever do. You're being killed, being a known criminal, someone who does not belong in society and needed to be wiped off of this earth. So Jesus didn't just die. He died an awful death, a disgusting death, a ridiculed death, an embarrassing death. Nothing more humbling and humiliating than the way that Jesus died. Even death on a cross. Paul wanted to make sure that we understood that. Look, man, you want to see how humble Jesus was? He even died on a cross, and we would all go, oh, whoa. He died as a known criminal. Awful, disgusting death. So we move on. It goes in verse 9. Therefore, because of the way that he died, because of the humility of Jesus, God exalted him to the highest place and gave him the name that is above every name. That at the name of Jesus, every knee should bow. Not because Jesus came as this amazing, triumphal, you know what I mean? This all-powerful, Marvel comic type being, wanting to be in control of all things and pushing people around and showing his strength and, and flexing and all that stuff. No, it was because of his humility. It was the opposite. That's why God lifted him up to the highest place. Kind of hints to what our aim should be, right? Every tongue acknowledge that Jesus Christ is Lord to the glory of God the Father. So Jesus came down, okay? What does this mean? I mean, Jesus leaves heaven, perfection. He leaves angels worshiping him, bowing before him. Omni-power. We did a series years ago, we called it Omni. I don't know if you guys remember, but it was the idea of unlimited power, unlimited presence, right? Unlimited knowledge. Like God had all of everything. He's omni everything. Jesus left that. I don't know if that means galaxy creating, universe creating, you know what I mean? Understanding what it feels like to be in the middle of a planet or, to explode a sun somewhere. I mean, a star and just the power, unlimited ability, unlimited knowledge. He leaves all of that, wraps himself into a human. He trades it all. Remember, think about heaven. No pain, no tears. He leaves the throne, right? And he trades it all for being born through a womb, through a human, right? To be raised by a common carpenter. Just a carpenter, a commoner, a blue-collar worker, right? Dust and dirt, doing chores. He traded it for doing chores. Jesus, get in here and wash the dishes. Jesus, that bathroom's not as clean as it needs to be. Can you? I mean, he traded it for hunger, thirst, right? Common colds. Bad breath. Cavities. Right? Toothaches, back pain. Traded it for all that. Sorrow and loss and brutality and death. Befores and afters and everything in betweens. Heartbreaks and suffering. Brutality. Bullying. He traded it for bullying. Don't think Jesus wasn't bullied. He felt everything that we feel. So it's not like that movie that we've seen before. Like some accomplished millionaire, loses everything and now he lives in the hood. Right? And that's the movie, that's what we have a picture of Jesus. Oh man, he went all the way to the hood, No. He went from complete control and creator to created. God becoming a person, flesh, hurtable, right? Fragile. He got a hangnail just like you. He could twist his ankle just like you, right? Accident, fall down, it wasn't sin. Made mistakes. Wow. So all power, omni, and then he became me. Human. You ever watch Undercover Boss? So the CEO, I'll give you the gist of it if you haven't. CEO feels disconnected from the rest of his company. Most of the time they do it because they want to improve revenue. So they want to find out where are the little cracks, right? And they want to fill them. They want to make sure that they get rid of certain employees or maybe better their company in some way. And so what do? They anonymously, right? They become one of the workers. They get dressed up and they wear a disguise. And some of the disguises are awful, and I can't believe they're believed. But they pretend that they're on a documentary show getting a job. And what does it take to get this job? So that they're partnered up with a worker. And we've all seen some. I don't know if you've watched the show, but one of the famous ones, the guy is on the garbage truck. Do you guys remember that one? And they're throwing trash in there, and he's talking, hey, so how's life or whatever. And then the bag breaks, and the CEO of the largest garbage management company in the nation, says, what do we do? And the guy goes, what do we do? Grab that shovel, and now they're shoveling and he's picking up all this stuff. And the guy's like, yeah, it's a pretty dirty job, ain't it? Guy's singing and whistling and there's flies and it's just awful. The CEO's like, he's gagging, he's throwing in. The guy's like, dude, you're not really made out for this, are you? It was great. So so they put on the uniform, they lift the boxes, they eat in the cafeteria food. I mean, these are millionaires, and they're doing the same work as everyone else. Cleaning bathrooms. I remember that episode. I don't know if you remember that episode. The guy was working at a porta potty company. That's a good one. Look it up. It's so good. Yeah. Well, I have a clip for you to watch. Undercover Boss. Give us a little taste of what this looks like.
So do you have any hobbies?
Mainly family and grandchildren.
Okay.
I love them.
We have 2 daughters, both married. I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's worth it.
That's our special needs grandkids.
Ah,
That's Waverly and Oliver.
wow. Oh, they're beautiful.
They have a disease.
Oh, what is it?
MPS.
They, all right, man. Okay.
They have, it's called Sanfilippo syndrome. My daughter says it's like our bodies have little trash trucks, and they get rid of all our waste, and they're missing an enzyme in their body, and that enzyme doesn't get rid of any of their waste. So it's killing them. Waverly and Oliver both were born with many problems. And you go to the doctors, and they say, try this, try that, wait for this, wait for... And it just as time goes on, you go to the next doctor, and he goes, I think this is it, or that's it.
Well,
There's a lot of people that have situations in their lives that I don't think sometimes the bosses know, or the coworkers, and they carry a lot with them. And, I wish you had ways of help, like put a little flag on, I need help today, or I need someone to care for me today. We need to sit down to spend time with people, I guess.
Alan, it's personally inspiring to see how joyful and positive your outlook is, particularly given the challenges you face with your grandchildren. I gave my grandchildren a little extra hug.
That's what it's about. That's what it's about.
It touched me so much, and in order to thank you for being the employee you are, Macus is proud to offer a donation of $5,000 to the MPS Foundation in Oliver and Waverly's name to help them find a cure for this thing.
That's very appreciative.
I'm also going to make sure the MAC makes an earmarked donation so that you can take those 2 beautiful grandchildren to Disney World along with your extended family. My pleasure. And this is from my wife and I, personally. Just a little something to help defray your expenses for treatment or whatever it takes that might not be covered by the insurance, and just a way to personally say thank you.
Thank you so much.
So why did they do it? This show doesn't work, by the way, because now everyone is suspicious of this happening. So it doesn't work anymore. But they started out by wanting to increase revenue. And then what happened was that they started to connect with their employees and seeing what their life was really like, working for management like theirs, right? So then it led them into having compassion and really caring about their employees, and they would change their entire companies. I mean, I don't know if you've watched like the follow-up episodes of some of these. You can watch them on YouTube of what's happened since. And their programs have been installed in these companies, and appreciation days and parties and all these things, because they realize, wow, that it's a difficult job. It's a difficult thing that we're asking them to do. If you look at the statistics, the number one important thing in working as an employee is not money. It's probably a close second, but it's not money. It's appreciation. That's the number one reason why someone wants to work at your company. So if they feel appreciated, they feel special, they feel, valued, then they'll do anything for your company. But you can give them as much money as you want. You don't treat them well, they want out of there. And that's what they were learning. They started to understand what their workers were going through, and they started to make these changes. And it always ends in this big emotional, right? Because typically the boss ends up validating the employee. They're validated. They work hard. They're a good person. Maybe the mistakes that they made, you're off the hook. You're a great person. You've done a great job. And they end up rescuing them in the end. And I'm like, that's what God does as Jesus, right? He didn't come to understand us, but he came to help us to understand that he understands us. Does that make sense? He wanted us to understand that he understands. We needed that so badly. We needed the compassion. We needed him in person to say, I get it. I see how hard it is. I see what hurts. I think about Jesus crying over someone he was about to resurrect. But it wasn't because Lazarus was dead. It was because the pain that his close friends were going through. The compassion. We needed to see it. We needed to experience that. Jesus comes to my level. He validates me and he rescues me. So does this change my outlook just a little bit on Jesus' role here on earth, on the birth of Jesus, right? Comes down. But what does he come down? He dies for my pride so that I can be humble. I'm off the hook. I don't have to be prideful. I don't have to protect myself. He's got me. I've died for that. It's gone. You're forgiven. You're validated. Matt, you're a son of God. You can be humble now. You can let go. He comes down and he looks at my bitterness and he dies for my bitterness. He says, you can let go of that bitterness. You can now forgive. From comfort, right? From comfort to serving. Right? He's like, no, I died for all of that. You're off the hook. You don't have to just live this life safe here in the world. You can serve like me. You're free to be generous. I mean, that takes faith to be generous. It takes faith that we know that God's got our back when we're generous, to give special contribution, whatever it might be, to trust that, wait a second, Jesus came to this earth so that I could be generous. He died for all that stuff. He's got me. He's proven it to me in person. So I go from what's in it from me to what's in it for them. It changes my perspective. Now I'm not thinking of what am I going to have to go through. Now I'm thinking, what are you going to have to go through? How can I assist you? How can I help you? How can I serve you? I mean, Jesus died for me. I'm good. If it all ends today, I'm good. Actually, I'm better than good. Let's go, Jesus. So Christmas isn't about receiving God's love. It's about imitating his love. This moment should change us. It should change our perspective. We're going to go back to our Bibles. We're going to look in Hebrews chapter 10. Hebrews 10. And we're going to start in verse 5. Now, I don't know if you write in your Bible or if you hopefully you're taking notes, being Bereans. But if you look at Leviticus 6:24, kind of through to the end, maybe go into 7 verse something, maybe 10 or so, it correlates with what we're going to read, all right? So just for a future Bible study for you. Verse 5 says, therefore, when Christ came into the world, he said, sacrifice and offering you did not desire, but a body you prepared for me with burnt offerings and sin offerings, you were not pleased. Then I said, here I am. It is written about me in the scroll. I have come to do your will, my God. First he said, sacrifices and burnt offerings and sin offerings you did not desire, nor were you pleased with them, though they were offered in accordance with the law-abiding citizenship. Then he said, here I am. I have come to do your will. He sets aside the first to establish the second. So there's a before and after. There's a contrast. If you want to kind of get a good picture of Old Covenant, New Covenant, it's right here, verse 10. And by that will we have been made holy through the sacrifice of the body of Jesus once for all. Freed. Jesus died to remove the old covenant, the old law, the burden, to free us and give us full resource to all of his, literally no ceiling on the resources that we have available to us. To be like him. It's behind the manger. See, what this does is it basically says it takes the birth and it gives it purpose. Because the birth is worthless without the purpose, right? It's the why. That's what we care about, not the baby. It's why is the baby here? So I can't celebrate Jesus' birth without celebrating his purpose. Think about it. Yes, he was born, but he was born why? To heal me. I mean, it's great that he was born, baby in the manger, baby Jesus. It's exciting. But what's so exciting about it is that he heals me, right? Yes, he was born, but he was born to take my sins away. I mean, it's awesome that Jesus was born. Cute baby, baby in a manger. Let's exchange gifts. Let's have a Christmas party. It's all awesome. But the purpose is that he takes my sins away. I mean, yes, he was born, but he was born to take my place on a cross. Like, I deserve what the cross means, not him. I deserve to be crucified. I deserve to suffer the consequences of my sin. What have I earned? I've earned death. I'm the one who earned death. But he was born to take that away, to die for me in my place. So you see the purpose, it's all about the purpose. It's behind the manger. So I can't allow the Christmas to become like this sentimental program that I run every year. You know, this time that, hey, we use it for gatherings of family and good food and all that stuff. That's all great. And it's a reason. It's all good. I'm not condemning that. But I can't get caught up on it without transformation. Like when I look at the manger, it should transform me. Not because of the baby Jesus, but because of the purpose in the manger. It should change me. What did it cost God to love me? What am I willing to do to love him back? Or what am I doing to love him back? Am I looking in the mirror and going, what am I doing to show God that I love him too? I think back to the proposal that I gave my wife. You know, if she was just kind of milquetoasty, and I said, and I conjured up every part of myself, to ask this question, will you be my wife? And she goes, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I guess. It's probably a good thing to do. It's the right thing to do. We've been dating this long, and I've kind of ran the equation. It's probably the best thing for my life. Okie dokie. What's convicting is a lot of times that's my response to the cross. That's my response to the manger. That's my response to what Jesus has done for me. Well, I guess it's the right thing to do. You should feel lucky that I walked through this door on time. I don't really do those types of menial jobs because, we can get this air about us thinking that we're I don't know. It's just a lack of gratitude. It's a lack of understanding because I think we forgot the purpose. So, yeah, the birth is amazing, but the purpose is everything, and it should change us. So, manger equals purpose. I like it. Simpleton. All right. There was a house that caught on fire in the middle of the night. The father woke up to smoke and flames and managed to grab his young daughter and carry her downstairs. But as they reached the front door, a beam collapsed and pinned him. He pushed his daughter through the opening and yelled, "Run, get out!" She escaped, but unfortunately the father didn't. He was swallowed up by the flames. At the funeral, her crying grandmother knelt beside the little girl and said, "Sweetheart, your daddy died saving you." She looked up through her tears and whispered, "I know, it's because he loves me." That's Christmas. Father sends his son into a burning world. That son steps into a place he knows will cost him his life. It's not just about the birth, right? It's what's going on behind the birth. It's the story behind the birth. Because what's behind the birth is what matters. So behind the manger. I look forward to closing this little mini-series that we've done together on the 20th, which will be our next service together. And I look forward to that time that we'll have together. Thank you guys for your time and attention. Have a great afternoon.